Well, Big Brother 18 continues to be the season that never ends with another ridiculous twist and a very big week of missed opportunities. Hey guys, it's Kevin on this week for Big Brother 18 episodes 29 through 31, and I really didn't know what to expect this week, especially after a week when Paulie left. I really didn't know what the season was going to be like because Paulie has been in so much control this season, and he's basically behind every big move that I really didn't know what was going to happen for the rest of the duration of the season. And I have to say that this week for me was a very on and off week. There are some things here that I really did understand, and a lot of things that really did piss me off. And I am a bit worried that we might be going back to a bullshit season of Big Brother. And I'm going to tell you guys what I think the real problem with this season is at the end of this video, but let's get into this week overall because I really do want to talk about it. First of all, they very quickly make us forget about that carnival episode, which I really don't want to talk about that episode. I don't know what the fuck that was, but let's just talk about this week because obviously we start off with this black box thing, and I don't know. I really don't like this competition. I think it's stupid. I think it's unnecessary, and I don't really know why they do it. It seems like they only do it for our benefit. Just, there are certain things, competitions they do clearly just to entertain audiences, and this was fun to watch. Like, I think it was funny to watch Paul lose his shoe and complaining about losing his shoe. I thought that was funny to watch. But the problem is, this is a competition where the feeds, they could not turn on the feed, so no one could see what was going on. You had to wait till we watched the episode, so that was kind of annoying. But what was even more annoying is just the way the competition was done. Nicole literally complaining about having shit on her back. I mean, she's a shitty player, so she kind of deserves it, but I just thought it was kind of a dumb competition, and I really was not a huge fan of it. But it is a competition that requires you to think and requires you to, navigate yourself around. So I understand in that regard why it's there. I just didn't really like it as a competition, though. But nevertheless, finally we get something that I've been waiting for a while. Natalie finally wins HOH here, and obviously I was so happy about this. You guys know Natalie's been my favorite. I think especially after everything that happened with Paulie, after everything that went down, she really deserved this HOH. She worked very hard for it, and I really think that it really did pay off for her. But I will admit that this kind of gets rid of the more, nice Natalie and more of this catty, bitchy Natalie that we see for the rest of the week. Now, am I saying that Natalie is bitchy and catty all the time? No, but I am saying that I do think that her reign as HOH went to her head a little bit, definitely. Not like Paulie. She's definitely not like that. Wasn't irritating, but there were a couple things that you could definitely tell it definitely did go to her head. But I will say, I think she did, she definitely, I don't think, really was prepared to win this HOH, because the second she wins, she's like, holy shit, I gotta nominate 2 people, and I don't really think she thought about that. She always wanted to be HOH, but as we know, the only reason she wanted to be HOH is so she could have won something, and unfortunately, she didn't really think about having to nominate 2 people, so she's really conflicted with what she wants to do here. But her and James then come up with this strategy that can maybe work things out. They decide to team up. Well, James basically comes up with it. It's not really Natalie. James is the one that comes up with it. He comes up with this idea to work with Corey and Nicole, and they kind of solidify a Final Four, which honestly, I think is a good idea. I really do, because here's the thing. Corey, I mean, there's literally nothing he can do right. We'll talk about that when we get to Wednesday's episode, because I have a lot to say about Corey on there. I mean, if you want to talk about how dumb of a house guest Corey is, I don't really think there was a better showcase than Wednesday's episode, which I'll get into. Nicole is someone that I don't really think has any chance of winning. I think no one really vote for her. I mean, a lot of people are saying she could end up like a Jordan, where she's just someone that didn't do much, and because she didn't really get any blood in her hands, people will vote for her. If it's a bitter jury especially, they'll vote for her, so there is a chance of that. But Natalie and James, I think that definitely gives them a much better possibility. Now, James, I know, has this ridiculous theory that he's going to go to the end with all 3 of the girls, but whatever, they start this Final Four, and immediately, I mean, this kind of is a problem here because they already have a deal with Paul and Victor. They're already working with them. That alliance that James was in, Natalie's kind of a part of. If you remember, that alliance to take out Paulie, that's still going on. That's not like it's gone away or anything. It's still going on, and that's something I thought was interesting that we saw, is now Natalie's really conflicted with what to do here, because obviously she doesn't want to go after someone like Paul and Victor because she knows how strong they are, but at the same time she doesn't know she wants to go after Nicole and Corey. But all of that has changed once we go to the care package. Now, the care package this week is something that I was definitely looking forward to, because the care package obviously, is the most important one yet. It's the one that is the co-HOH. It's the one that determines the fates of who could who could be in power, and maybe give someone who hasn't had as much power this year to do something more. And while it did do that, I think it was completely the wrong person and the wrong opportunity to give this person HOH, because Meech is the one that gets HOH. Now, am I upset that she got it? No. Honestly, I understand why she got it. I think a lot of people did it because of her comments during the double eviction. This was just kind of like a delayed thing. Because like I said to you guys, I think the reason that she didn't get the care package and Nicole did for the last one is because everyone who was voting, the voting opened way before the double eviction. So I think that's why she didn't get it. But here she did in fact get it, and I was happy for her, but I don't really think this was the week to do it. I think if they were to do this co-HOH, it would have been the beginning of the beginning of the game. I think would have been the best chance to do it, kind of like a battle of the block scenario. But what I like is the difference here is that there are two H's for the whole week, which is interesting to watch, and I thought that was cool the way they did that. The problem is Natalie and Meech aren't really butting heads that much. They work very well together, and I will say that I think that was very good the way these two decided to work together. But I'm not gonna lie, most of their decision making is because of production, and I don't want this video to get flagged. I don't want Allison Grodner to come after me, but I'm going to be completely blunt in what I'm going to say. When Victor targeted Paulie last week, production literally told him to not target him. They literally said, don't do that. Because why? Paulie makes them ratings. Allison Grodner and production, they care about who makes them ratings, and holy shit, person that makes us ratings is going to leave, and they didn't want Paulie to leave, but Victor did it nonetheless. So when Natalie was asked who to target, obviously they said Victor because of what happened, so that is why what ends up happening is, what ends up happening. But anyway, back to Natalie and Meech. I think these two did work well together, and that's something I did like. I thought they had a good bond. I like seeing them work together overall. But I think because of them working well together, this week was kind of boring. It definitely was very predictable into what was going to happen, because they decided to go after Paul and Victor, and you can understand why. I've said it before, that because of what Victor did with Paulie, that immediately made him a target, and it absolutely did. Everyone's thinking, oh my god, Victor's going to win the game. Victor has an incredible shot of, winning this whole thing, and they're thinking that if they don't take a shot at him this week, they can't take a shot at him at all. Now is the time to go after him, and I definitely do agree that it is the time to go after Victor. But Paul, I don't really understand. Paul is mainly because of this bullshit story of Nicole. I guess before Paulie left, he said that he was coming after James, and this was something that Nicole tries to frame Paul for, that Paul was the source of this. Paul was someone who, was going to, that knew about this and was going to take out James, was completely fine with that, and I would definitely agree that if Victor or Paul would have won, they would have definitely put up Nicole and James. I think those would have probably been the two they put up. Natalie, not so much, but Nicole and James, I think definitely they would have put up. And obviously, this very much upsets Natalie, because you come after James, you come after her. So she puts up Paul for that reason, and I was kind of upset, because I have to say, this is probably, I think, Paul's best edit yet. Everything we get this week of him, I loved everything they did, especially the talk show with Paul. I think we really all can relate to that. Sometimes we just need a moment to talk to ourselves and escape reality and pretend that we're not in the Big Brother house, especially when you're cooped up in a house like that. Sometimes you just need a moment to be by yourself, and the fact that Paul created his own talk show with a laugh track and everything, that alone is enough of a reason for me to really root for Paul, enough of a reason for me to think maybe Paul has a very good chance of winning this entire thing. I really think that Paul is going to win this game. It just seems like he's so focused, in the sense that even when he's making these jokes, he's still thinking about the game. He still is having time himself, and that's one of the best things to do. And I've heard one of the hardest things in the house, that there's so much time for thinking, and I like that Paul is using that time to be by himself. And he talks about, sometimes he talks game, sometimes he just talks about what he's doing, and it's kind of a good strategy, honestly. I think it's a good strategy what he did there, but I thought that was definitely interesting to see. But yeah, like I said, there was that, and other than that, there wasn't too much else going on the Sunday episode besides, like what I said, with Natalie and Meech, because they're in immediate agreement. Meech wants to take out Nicole. She thinks that's who she should take out, and very quickly Natalie shuts that down because of the deal she has with them, and they decide that they're going to take a shot at Paul and Victor, and that's what ends up happening. I heard that Meech said some things about Paul that a lot of people are not happy about. I guess she talked about how he was atheist, and people thought that was the reason why she was putting him up. I don't know. I didn't really see much of the live feeds this week just because I just had other things to do, and I didn't get a chance to watch them, but if she did, obviously I've lost a lot of respect for her, and you definitely shouldn't just go after someone for that. But, if she did, then, okay, not really much we can do about it, except, okay, I think we've always known Michelle's a little bit bitchy. We've always seen that, but especially with something like that, it's very interesting when we saw that. But anyway, that is what ends up happening. Like I said, Paul and Victor are nominated for the week, and that's everything that happens on Sunday. Let's get into Wednesday's episode, which, I'm not gonna lie, I think Wednesday night's episode is probably one of my favorites of this season. I think there was just so much great stuff put into here. Was there some dumb stuff? Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it was because of Natalie. I think Natalie, she tried to find reasons to target Paul, and by doing that, she just got mad at him for a lot of things she shouldn't have, and I think Paul handled himself pretty well, because immediately, he's going to Meech and Nat, and he's like, what happened? Why did you do this to me? What's going on here? Why'd you put me up? And he just wants reasons, and they're not really giving it to him, but I do like the idea that he comes up with, because Paul and Victor come with this idea that, hey, Corey, is someone that could get to the final two, and he might have a good chance of winning because of the jury and things like that, and maybe it might be the time to take a shot at Corey. Now, let me just say, Corey definitely is not someone to get rid of, because Corey literally there's no reason to get rid of him. I literally can't think of any reason why they should get rid of Corey at this point. I don't think there's ever going to be reason to get rid of Corey because, one, he literally doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Two, he can't even talk. He literally cannot construct a sentence, and you guys have seen his diary rooms. If you guys know, once, double eviction came, Corey just asked everyone, what do you want to do? He just doesn't think for himself, and he's just worthless. He really is. People say this about James, but I'm really going to say that about Corey. I think Corey's worthless, and he hasn't done anything for me to say he's not, and I think that's even more evident by two key scenes in this episode, which I'll get into. But anyway, I did like the way that Paul and Victor tried to talk to, Natalie and James and Meech. I thought that was definitely a very good scene. But Paul then goes to everyone, trying to figure out what's going on. He wants factual evidence as to what happened, and he very quickly realizes that Nicole's the reason why, and Natalie gets all upset because she feels that she did this by manipulation. Now, her crying, I think, was a bit much. I don't know really why she was crying. I thought it was staged. I thought that she was faking it, but no, she was actually crying, and I don't really know why she was crying. If it was James or someone she was allied with, that I could understand. But it's Paul. You have no relationship with Paul. You haven't really done anything with him. I know they were obviously close, which I forgot to say, those five, Meech, Paul, Victor, James, and Natalie, those five became generally close once Paulie left. It was very divided in that regard, but basically, she's crying. I don't really know why she's crying, though. That I really didn't understand. I did like Paul going to Nicole and asking her what's going on and why are you targeting me, and she just isn't really budging. She's not really giving him an answer, and fucking Corey, once again, is such an idiot when he basically has to lose his Patriot heart, trying to strip right in front of Nicole, has no idea they're fighting, and just all of a sudden, for some reason, finally clicks into his brain. He's like, oh, we're fighting? I'm like, Dude, how can you not tell? These two are literally sitting at opposite ends of each other. They're talking. They never think of talking in their life. They're going back and forth. Nicole's ignoring you. What else would they be doing? I mean, this guy is so fucking dumb. I don't know how else to categorize him. He's just dumb. He's stupid. And I thought Clay from last year was dumb. That is nothing compared to Corey. I've always thought Corey was dumb. I've always thought he was a waste of a house guest, and I don't know what the hell he's doing because he's really dumb. But anyway, I did like the way that was done. What I really did like, though, I have to say, what was done with the veto, because the veto, basically the only person that doesn't get chosen is Nicole, but that's not the thing I really liked. Obviously, I don't want Nicole to get chosen because she's really annoying, and I have to say, Nicole's voice has never irritated me more than it has this week. I mean, just her constant, oh my god, holy crap, oh my god, what the freak, like, can just dial it down a few notches, because I do not remember Nicole being this annoying in Big Brother 16. Now, it might have been because of how adorkable she was, and I think that's really what it was, that Nicole in Big Brother 16 was adorkable. This was someone that could win competition. She was someone that definitely thought about the game, but after Hayden left, she kind of lost some allies and wasn't really able to find other people besides Donnie. And Donnie, of course, he wasn't really in power either. This season, I don't know what the fuck she's doing. I really don't. She has no business being with Corey, and especially when you get to the POV, which is one of those things where it keeps them up all night, and Paul is trying to keep everyone awake. I didn't think it was annoying what Paul was doing. I thought it made sense why he was trying to keep everyone awake, because that just shows how much his heart is in the game. That's not showing that he's just, well, yeah, obviously he wants to win, but he wasn't just doing it for himself. And I mean, Natalie got upset at him for this, which I don't really understand, but keep in mind, he wasn't doing this, just for himself. He was doing it for everyone. He was trying to keep Natalie awake, keep James awake. I mean, they fell asleep. It's not really his fault. He was trying to keep them awake, and if they fell asleep, they fall asleep. But then you have Nicole and Corey, who Nicole's trying to listen. Corey doesn't want to. He just wants to sleep because he's an idiot. And, I mean, it really does show where Nicole's priorities are. It really does. I mean, it's stupid. If I was Nicole, I would just gotten out of the bed and just go, follow the mass majority, because that's what everyone else is doing. But she's just so stupid. I don't know what the hell's wrong with her. And I know Nicole is smart in this. That's the thing. I know she can be a better house guest in this, and that's what really pissed me off. But anyways, Natalie gets mad at Paul because he falls asleep in her bed. I don't know why she got mad at this, but there was a reason why. I just don't really know why she got mad at him. But then we get to the veto, which is something that I've wanted to see for a while, which is something different, and that's exactly what we get here. The veto that we get is, I don't think, something we've ever done before, which I think was really cool, actually. It was something where there were points, and they were done that way, which I didn't fully understand the way the points were done, because I don't really think they explained it very well, but I did like the concept here. Basically, each house guest was kind of like a news reporter. They had to talk about each superstorm, and it's difficult as well, because there's literally rain and stuff falling on them, so they have to be able to do that, keep their cool, and be able to read the cue cards and read the teleprompter, which is something that's really not easy, and something that does require a lot of thinking and things like that. And this was obviously made for Paul. I mean, I'm like, this is definitely going to be Paul's win. Paul does in fact win, and I love that he just called himself Storm. He completely annexed the Paul, because everyone got these ridiculous last names. Like, Natalie's was Natalie Rainbow. You had, like, Corey Breeze, which, let's talk about Corey, because I think probably, honestly, one of the highlights of this week is it's just Corey in general. Corey, I could not keep it together, because not only is Corey a horrible newscaster, I mean, this is Corey Breeze, and there's some clouds out there, and yeah, it's very wet, and it's raining, and just a bunch of mumbling, very monotone, that kind of thing. But the funniest part about this is Corey holding the umbrella, and him holding the umbrella sideways. I lost it. I could not keep it together. I mean, if that's the reason why you're going to get rid of Corey, okay. I mean, if that's a reason why, him not being able to hold an umbrella, I understand that. But, I mean, that seems like it's the only reason why I get rid of Corey. It's the perfect reason why Corey needs to stay in this game. He's totally like a Victoria, someone who has no idea what's going on in the game. He might be the dumbest male house guest we've ever had. I don't know if there's someone dumber. There probably is, but he's definitely very much up there. He's definitely not playing dumb. He just is that dumb, and that's the thing about Corey, is that we've had a lot of people that play dumb, like, say, Johnny Mac, but they're not really dumb. That's one of the reasons I love Johnny Mac so much last year, because that is a very good strategy, or something that James did last year. This year, I don't know what the hell he's doing, but that's what he kind of did last year. But this year, however, Corey, he's just dumb. He really is. But anyway, they each had their own, like, last name, and Paul does end up winning the veto, and because of that, Michelle is obviously really upset because she wanted Paul to go home, especially after the whole thing he caused, which I understand, but I think Paul did the right thing in that he wasn't really getting mad at anyone for no reason. He just wanted factual evidence. Obviously, he thought that Natalie and James had his back. He thought that things were going to be okay there, but clearly they didn't. They clearly went behind his back. They clearly were not, clearly not his best interest at heart, and obviously, he got mad at them, but because of this, Michelle now has to name a replacement nominee, which I thought was interesting that we saw, and she ends up putting Corey up, not Nicole, even though they could have taken a shot at Nicole. They don't put up Nicole, which I understand this, honestly. I think it was probably the right thing to do because I think once Corey's gone, Nicole will go much further. Nicole, I hope, wakes up. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if they don't get rid of Corey in the next 2 weeks, I mean, consider Nicole to just self-evict. I don't really know what's going to happen here. I mean, Nicole, I think, is going to end up in the exact same spot she ended up in the next double eviction, whenever that is, which I'm assuming is in 2 weeks. But like I said, it's now Victor or Corey, and I pretty much thought that it was going to be Victor. I mean, just the way that this was going, I pretty much had this feeling that it's probably going to be Victor. But let's get into tonight's episode, because now I want to talk about the real problem of the season. The real problem of the season is not the house guests. It's not the way that the season's constructed. It's all production. They're the real fault of this season. And I'll tell you, when the season started going downhill, a lot of people think it's the week that Bronte left. No, I think the exact time the season went downhill is when they got rid of the teams. That is the exact time when, and I'll tell you why it's the exact time when, because it served no purpose, and that's the real problem with this season, is them thinking that adding more twists is going to benefit the game, and it's not. One of the reasons last season was so good is because they cut the twists very early because the house guests didn't need them. They were able to think for themselves, they were able to keep things interesting, and there were a lot of big personalities in the house, and they just didn't really need it. That's why they got rid of it. This season, however, because everyone's kind of bored, they're trying to add all these twists in here, and we don't need them, especially a second jury buyback. We don't need this, and it's just stupid at this point. It's silly. The fact that Victor is once again in the jury buyback, and I'm just going to say right now that Victor did end up leaving, even though he tried to get 3 votes, because there's only 3 people that could have voted: Nicole, Corey, and James, which James should never be the deciding factor, let me just say. But Victor does end up leaving, and he now has a chance to come back into the house. We'll have to see what happens with that. The real highlight tonight's episode by far was the jury. I have never been this entertained by the jury in a while. I mean, most times I think the jury segments or whatever, but they're really amping it up this season. I mean, there's a lot of bitter jury stuff, and honestly, I want an entire jury episode. I really would love to see that. Just Devon trying to keep everyone together, trying to be the motherly figure to Zakiya and Bridget, and once Polly walked in the door, be like the mama bear protecting her cubs. I thought was very fun to watch. I really did love that overall, and that alone was enough a reason to really like this episode. But Victor leaving, I understand. Honestly, like I said, I think he really showed his cards, and by showing his cards, it really did make himself a target, and that's why he's in this position now. I think that's the main reason why. But anyway, Victor does end up leaving. We now have the jury buyback that's going to happen, and that's basically everything there was talking about. Someone's come back in the house. Anyone but Polly. Literally, I don't care who. Anyone but Polly. I don't even care if it's Zakiya. Anyone but Polly. Please, I don't want to see Polly back in the house, because I think if he comes back, he's going to try to win. PP could come back for all we know. I mean, anything is possible, and I really do not want Polly to come back. If that's really going to make me dislike the season again, but I really don't want him to come back. But that's pretty much all I have to say in terms of this week. And that's really all I have to say in general, because like I said, we don't really know what's going to happen this week, but I have this fear. I really do. I'm worried that this season is going to get very boring, and I'm already on the point where I'm just waiting for it to end. I really am. I mean, it's not bad. I won't say it's bad or anything, but I'm really just waiting for it to end. I want to see this season end, and I think if Victor, I'll say this right now, if Victor's able to come back into the house a second time, which it's just ridiculous if he's able to. But if he is, then I mean, that's enough for reason for him to win. I really think it is. It's enough for a reason for him to win. That immediately should solidify him the win. Just you might as well just write the check out right then and there. What the fuck is the care package next week? I mean, it's about bribing a house guest. We don't need any of this. Nicole got yelled at for this like 3 days ago, and it's literally the care package. I don't know why they're doing this. It's really dumb. It's like they ran out of ideas, which I think that's exactly what it is. They just ran out of care packages, so they just put them randomly together. Probably what happened is just they had a bunch of ideas. They're like, oh, we're just going to randomize it, and they put them together, and that's what happened with that. But anyway, who's going to be HOH? Who's going to be targeted next week? I don't really know. Who's going to be back in the house? I don't know. Well, actually, I do know, but I'm not going to tell you. I just checked Twitter. I'm not going to tell you who's coming back. You guys will have to see in the next episode. I'm going to be like Julie Chen, but anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this week. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Did you think now? I thought, like I said, I didn't think this was a bad week. I just thought Natalie kind of pissed me off in a lot of things. I mean, I don't really know why she had to get so mad at Paul for things that really weren't, she shouldn't have gotten that mad at. There was a point where she asked James if she was a brat, and I honestly thought that she kind of was. I like Natalie. I don't want to dislike her. I still do like her, but I just think that her being HOH was just a very inconvenient time to win HOH for her. I think she really could have done a lot more, say, 2 weeks ago. That week that Victor won, I think if she would have won, it would have been a much more impactful weekend. I think we really would have gotten to see a much better HOH reign from Natalie. This week just really wasn't her week because of, like I said, Michelle being HOH, which having both of them sit out is ridiculous. It really is. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought this week. Love to hear your thoughts on it. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for a movie review. And I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.